Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Lankle, and I am an EV Infrastructure Associate at the Electrification Coalition. I want to thank you for joining the Electrification Coalition's Charging Infrastructure Week kickoff webinar. This series differs from our regular bi-monthly Charging Infrastructure webinar series because we use this time to reflect on our nation's progress since our Charging Infrastructure Week last year, and to demonstrate how the electric transportation sector is constantly evolving. In the past few years, we have had a great deal of advancement at the federal, local, and state level, paving the way for the establishment of a robust national charging network and giving us plenty to discuss during Charging Infrastructure Week. This year is no different, as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and Inflation Reduction Act continue to launch more funding and programs that allow us to accelerate EV adoption. This year, for the ECU's Charging Infrastructure Week, we are focused on three main areas: reflecting on this past year's investment in charging, discussing current projects, and looking ahead to future advancements. I'll go further into detail on how we plan to touch on all these points throughout the week. But to kick us off, I'd like to focus on the now, with presentations about the two programs launching this month in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Energy to help workplaces and public officials set up a workplace charging program. Today, we will hear from both teams for both of those programs: the Electric Vehicle Adoption Leadership Certification, EVAL, headed by Fourth Mobility and the Electrification Coalition, and Charge at Work, headed by CalSTART and EV Noir. These presentations will provide you with more information about how these teams can help your organization create the right plan for charging at your workplace, so you can take advantage of off-peak charging and always leave work on a full charge. As always, if you have any questions after the presentations, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box so we can get to them at the end. First, we have Torrin Spencer, a senior associate at the Electrification Coalition, to discuss the EVAL program. Torrin is an electric vehicle specialist for the Electrification Coalition. His work is focused on supporting the American Cities Climate Challenge in Orlando, as well as working directly with Orlando Utilities Commission on customer electric vehicle adoption. Torrin has been in the automotive sector for the last few years. He has been a sales representative at 2 Orlando area auto dealerships and worked directly with the public. In years prior, he assisted with conservation projects as a zoologist with the Walt Disney Company. Torrin is a native Floridian, originally from Tampa. He graduated from the University of Central Florida in 2012 with a bachelor's degree in environmental science. Torrin, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Alyssa. Much appreciated. Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Again, my name is Torrin Spencer, Senior Associate with the Electrification Coalition, and we are starting a new project starting very soon, the Electric Vehicle Adoption Leadership Certification. It's a bit of a mouthful, so we just call it EVAL for short. But what is EVAL? EVAL is a nationally recognized certification program that's going to provide technical assistance and recognition for organizations that support the adoption of clean transportation. The certification indicates the availability of clean transportation options and opportunities for staff at a workplace. So it kind of resembles the LEED certification you may have heard of for green building structures. So instead of the green building structures, it's the green transportation for workers to and from work, and possibly public-facing charging for those places that may be open and available past business hours. The EVAL objectives, we have a number of them, and we are working with a lot of great partners to accomplish these lofty goals, but we're trying to develop and execute a nationwide workplace charging program. We want to make sure we are educating, reaching out, and providing technical assistance to all those different workplaces that enable large-scale increases of workplace charging, not just a few here and there, but a few here and there at most workplaces across the country. We'd like to gain 2,500 employer commitments with the end goal of catalyzing over 20,000 EVSE or electric vehicle supply equipment port installations. We go by ports instead of just stations because one station could provide one port, 2 port, or multiples. So we want to make sure there are plenty of places for people to charge. Our program also has a set goal of over 5,000 employer registrations on the EVAL platform. And that platform is a part of a larger website that will assist others in learning more about workplace charging, helping them figure out their workplace charging journey from start, middle, or close to end. But this EVAL certification website is launching this month. Still working on a couple fine details, but that will be readily available very, very soon. Why get EVAL certified? It is a certification that distinguishes businesses for their commitment to lowering emissions by providing clean transportation options for their employees. And it also signals leadership and sustainability and action in addressing climate change. There are several different options as far as certification levels go. For the entry level certification, it starts at bronze, can go all the way up to platinum for multiple different aspects of certification and involvement in the program. And these logos, certifications, placards can be placed at businesses, on websites, and can signal to a larger audience what that workplace is all about. The recognition of excellence, like I was saying, this can be put in all sorts of different places. And we'd also like to bring those workplaces that are trying to share more information with the public and their workers to join us for different presentations going forward to try to spread the word about this program. We also have social media shout outs and case study profiles for organization initiatives and impacts. But we definitely want to have more lengthy conversations with those workplaces that are thinking thoroughly about this program and want to help those places with a complex timeline of getting chargers into the ground. How much does it cost? It's free. There is no cost right now for the rest of 23 and most of 24. After November 1st of 2024, new locations that are interested in this programming will be charged a fee. There is not a ton of information about that charging structure right now. So what we want to tell workplaces for the time being is just get in right now on the ground floor, and it is completely free of charge. The website does have some AI assistance. So it's EVAL, and he's here to help. So it's kind of a nice guide through the process. Can help you answer questions starting at the beginning. But there are multiple steps available for certifications. So there are sections on employee engagement, planning and evaluation for the actual charging implementation, e-mobility incentives, incentivizing workers for adoption of e-mobility, getting into their first EV or getting another one, or encouraging others to learn more about the technology. There are certification sections on EV charging. So obviously putting those chargers in the ground, maybe telling others about it as well, and then also leading with innovation. And also it's not just the workplaces, it's also learning more from their employees on the ground. So there are questionnaires that workplaces can spread out to their workers to get an idea of what they know about EVs, and maybe kind of answer some questions about what those workers are trying to look for in charging at their workplace as well. So it creates better communication from top down through the entire process. We are working with some great partners on this project. This entire EVAL project is run by Forth, and we have several sub-recipients for US regions. Us, the Electrification Coalition, are working in the Southeast. That's me, since I'm based in Orlando, and then also my colleague Emily Pape is going to be the regional point person for the Midwest. Forth is working in the Northwest, EV Noir in the Southwest, and Plug in America in the Northeast. So this is a nationwide effort, really going all out. We are looking for any and all workplaces that are looking for more information on charging. Happy to get more information out to them. And if you have questions for us, happy to entertain those as well. My contact information is there. Again, lead for the Southeast. We're talking far and wide. I'm working with different point people and workplaces in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas. So happy to answer those questions, and Emily is happy to answer those for Midwest as well. Happy to take questions a little bit after, but I will turn it back over to Alyssa.
Thanks so much, Torin. And yes, to echo that, feel free to put any questions for Torin in the Q&A feature of the webinar, and we'll get to those at the end. But that was a great explanation of this program and really helps us understand why organizations should consider getting an EVAL certification. And it kind of makes me want to go to the website just to meet EVAL. So that was awesome. Thanks so much. Now to learn more about the Charge at Work program, we have Brandon Oldham, the Infrastructure and EV Solutions Lead at EV Brandon, initiating his e-mobility journey at Shell Recharge, he played a crucial role in the early development of Electrify America's charging network at workplaces and multi-unit dwellings across the country. A proud alumnus of the University of San Francisco and Vermont Law and Graduate School, he remains committed to furthering advancing charging infrastructure equitability nationwide. Brandon is also joined by Olivia Logadice, CalStart's Workplace EV Charging Project Manager. Brandon and Olivia, take it away.
Thank you so much, Alyssa, and thank you for having us. Everyone, my name is Brandon Oldham. I help lead infrastructure and EV solutions here at EV Noir, and excited to speak more about the Charge at Work program.
My name is Olivia Logadice. I'm a project manager on the Charge at Work program, which is administered by CalStart's Light Duty Initiative. I'm going to kick it off to Brandon to share some information about Charge at Work, and then would love to answer any questions at the end.
Thank you, Olivia. So just a quick overview of what I'll run through today. We're going to talk about the need for workplace charging, why more and more companies are looking for workplace charging. And next, we're going to talk about what we call the new normal, where workplace charging is the norm and why you can and should get ahead of the curve in adopting workplace charging. It's a benefit for you, your workplace, your workers, and your community. Next, we'll talk about how we can help. We want to get to a place where installing workplace charging is easy. And although we can't guarantee it'll be a simple process, we have the technical expertise and tools to help you navigate making the right decisions, the right connections to make workplace charging a reality for you. And next, we'll touch on what you can do now, your next steps right after we say thank you and goodbye for today. And finally, we'd love to take any questions. So real quick, to speak about the need for EVs, EVs are on the rise. Forecasts for electric vehicle sales in the United States say that EVs will reach 40 to 50% of total passenger car sales by 2030. These aren't just projections. We're seeing the proof of these growth estimates today. EV registrations in the US rose 60% in the first quarter of 2022, even as the overall market was down nearly 20% over the same time period. Speaking more about the need is that the climate, clean air, and consumer pocketbook benefits are well documented and widely known. EVs contribute to cleaner air and a healthier environment, greater local energy independence, lower fuel and maintenance costs for owners, and a stronger, more technically advanced competitive economy. So why workplace charging? So looking at some more statistics, workplace charging is so important because 74% of current EV owners express strong interest in workplace charging. At the same time, 60% of EV drivers need chargers at work, either because of long commutes or no access to at-home charging. Think multi-unit dwellings or apartments, or places that just don't have level 2 charging infrastructure at home. So workplace charging can help bridge an important gap between what people want, EVs, and are interested in and what they need, a place to charge. Building on that analysis of some of the statistics, the need for workplace charging, and what Charge at Work is, let's dive deeper into the three-legged stool paradigm. This visual metaphor captures the essence of where EV charging should be ubiquitous, where drivers live, work, and play. We've just seen some of the latest data. A significant number of EV owners are keen on workplace charging, and for many, it's not just a convenience, but a necessity. So focusing on the work leg of our stool, workplaces cannot be ignored. Charge at Work's mission revolves around fortifying this leg, emphasizing the importance of reliable charging infrastructure at the workplace. So as we progress towards a more electrified future, businesses that partner with Charge at Work are not only meeting a present demand, but are laying the foundation for tomorrow's EV growth. Together, let's ensure our workplaces become a pivotal charging hub in our daily journeys. So looking at some of the EV charging benefits at workplaces. When workplaces respond to this increase in demand for EVs by adopting workplace EV charging, they see the benefits with happier employees who want to stay with their company, Pretty soon, workplace charging will be an expected amenity and not a perk. A smaller company footprint that may help you meet company sustainability goals. Companies that lead on sustainability and conservation often enjoy reputations for having smart community-driven leadership. Also, this encourages greater local energy independence, which offers community choice. Finally, EVs should be accessible to all, not just workers who have a dedicated charging space, but with workplace charging, workplaces can support energy justice and equity for workers who live in apartments, condos, and do not have access to home charging. So how can Charge at Work help? We're a U.S. Department of Energy funded National Workplace Charging Acceleration Program. We can help in terms of education. We can walk you through creating a workplace charging plan. We inform you about incentives for workplace EV charging, and we can help you figure out the number of chargers you can need in not just today, but 5 years from now, and much more. We provide technical assistance. Think about what kind of chargers do you need? We can help. How much will all of this cost? And we can help figure that out too. We're also creating online tools to support you. It's coming soon. Later this year, we'll have a full program website that will contain a special project builder and resource center. We want to be clear that we're focused on workplace charging solutions designed for use by workers, not fleet charging solutions. So if you have needs or questions there, we are happy to connect you to the team at CalStart for support, but the chargers will most often be used in these workplaces as level 2 chargers supporting employees at the workplace. Now to give a quick overview of what you'll see coming later this year on the full website, Charge at Work Resource Center and Implementation Portal or Project Builder. So for now, you can go to chargeatwork.org now. You can sign up for updates about our program, join us for later webinars and event series coming up. This is where our Resource Center and Project Builder will live. Ultimately, we want to do 3 things. Spur greater EV adoption by enhancing driver confidence in charger availability, expand access to electric mobility in disadvantaged communities, and create a self-sustaining market for workplace charging. Here's a quick preview of our project builder where you can gather all kinds of data and plan out your project. What you might see here is a cost worksheet. So careful planning is an integral part of getting a successful workplace charging program up and running. And we help you with that planning through a cost worksheet and a number of other tools. Some of those other tools include assessing what charging infrastructure is best at your workplace and in your area. And here's an early look at how we take you through the project step by step, and you gather all of your resources, documents, and notes here. So the project planner really helps you build a project out. You understand the full timeline, the costs, the infrastructure you're choosing, and it also combines local incentives that exist in your area, whether they're through a utility commission, different state agencies, or federal agencies as well. An important aspect of this work, as it's funded through the federal government and the Department of Energy, is the Justice 40 initiative. So what this slide is showing is, according to a 2022 study by the Pew Research Center, 43% of Americans lack access to public electric vehicle charging infrastructure. This means that they do not have access to a public charging station within a 10-mile radius of their home. And that lack of charging infrastructure is larger for lower income and minority households. Part of Charge at Work and the work that EV Noir and CalStart are doing is to ensure that more workplaces in areas that have historically been disadvantaged or low income have workplace chargers deployed to meet that need as EV growth accelerates. What this map shows is that also along highway corridors across the nation, any of the red segments still lack adequate fast chargers within 50 miles of one another. So part of this program will help ensure that 30 to 40% of the workplaces signed into Charge at Work meet the need for these disadvantaged communities. How can you get started? So getting started, there's 2 things you can do today. Check out our website, chargeatwork.org, sign up for updates from our team. We'll let you know when our project builder is launched. We'll keep you updated about new program developments and new tools. And we'll also be holding virtual and in-person events. So you'll be informed about those as they become available. The second thing you can do is, if you're already excited and you know you want to be a leader and deploy future workplace charging, is sign the pledge to support workplace charging. Our non-binding pledge identifies you as an early Charge at Work champion. And with your permission, we would feature your workplace on our website. We would also potentially feature you at various events in our communications. And we're looking for current or in development workplace charging programs to spotlight as case studies. So if you are already all in on workplace charging, let us know, and we want to show others the good work you're doing. Later this year, you can officially start planning your project with our online project builder, which will walk you through the process step by step, offer guidance, tools, and resources. So as we move to formally launch the Charge at Work program, we want to work with you to make workplace charging a reality across the country. We would love to collaborate with you to announce new chargers at your work sites, announce new incentives, help you hold an EV ride and drive for workers, and share ideas and resources. And with that, I think we'll take questions at the end, but thank you so much for letting me introduce the Charge at Work program.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Yes, like you said, make sure to drop those questions in the Q&A box for Brandon. We'll get to those at the end. But that was really helpful information, and I'm excited to see the project planner and other resources that are coming out soon. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Now, to demonstrate how to put that information into practice, Emily Pape will take us on a walk through the newly launched EVAL website with tips and tricks on how to navigate this process. Emily is a senior associate with the Electrification Coalition. Her work focuses on electric vehicle charging infrastructure development and supporting local governments to facilitate widespread electric vehicle adoption. Prior to joining the EC, Emily worked on community engagement efforts in Arctic advocacy in Alaska, policy research with Headwaters Economics and Idaho Policy Institute in Montana and Idaho, and constituent services with the Idaho Governor's Office. Emily holds a master's degree in public policy with a focus on energy and environmental policy from the University of Chicago and a bachelor's degree in global studies from Boise State University. Originally from Idaho, she now lives in Palo Alto, California. Emily, take it away.
Thank you, Alyssa. So I don't know about you all, but I am ready to get charging at my workplace. Like, let's get this going. So like Torin said, the EVAL platform is forthcoming. We're really excited about getting this launched and off the ground and in front of you all. But until we have that completely ready to go, I wanted to give you all a sneak peek that if you are either kind of on the project builder, charge at work side of things, just kind of dabbling in what workplace charging might look like for you, or if you already have those chargers in the ground, ready to get that certification, either way, this is where you start. And so you would get your sign up here at the EVAL homepage, use your work email to get started. It would have you give some information about yourself, how you heard about the program, that sort of thing. From there, it would have you talk a bit more about your organization. And so looking at the size of your organization, how many offices you have, what parking looks like for your employees today, that sort of thing. From there, you can talk a little bit more about your role and potentially how it would look like for you or your organization to put these workplace chargers in the ground, and just get more information about where you are in this process. And so from there, it'll have you create a password, make sure it's nice and strong and secure, verify your email, make sure the information is going to the right spot. And then you'll get here, which is the certification portal. And so, like I said, you can get to this point, even if you're not quite ready to certify your organization, create that account, you'll have access to resources, and then be ready to go as soon as you're ready to pursue that certification. But starting out, EVAL does certifications based on individual office locations. So even if you have a headquarters, satellite office, different branches, those can each get their own EVAL certification. So to start here, you would add an office or location. I did our headquarters, Electrification Coalition headquarters in Washington, DC. And you'll put information in, again, pretty basic, street address, maybe what you already have access to at that location. And then you can really jump into the certification progress here. And this is really looking at all of those sections that Torin laid out, starting with that employee engagement piece. And so that's looking like how your office or your organization really talks to employees about this issue, how you understand employee needs. From there, you can get into the planning process. Maybe you have your site assessment done and you know exactly where these chargers are going to go. Maybe that's something you still need to get done. From there, go into the mobility incentives. Because EVAL is broader, well, it centers on workplace charging. We also want to know about carpooling at your workplace or options for e-mobility, those e-bikes and scooters and that sort of thing. The fourth section is about the EV charging. So this is really, the meat of this questionnaire, what parking looks like, what your chargers look like, that sort of thing. And finally, we're going to be asking about your organization's leadership. And so we really want to see the innovative stuff you're doing, maybe some programs, some partnerships that we haven't thought of or that are working really well for you and your community. And so once you've completed all 5 of these sections, your certification questionnaire will be sent off to Forth, and you can eagerly await your email inbox for more information about where you stand with that certification. But like I said, this is pretty sneak peek preliminary stuff. So we'll be in touch as this becomes an option for folks to start signing up and registering. So thank you very much, and I'll kick it back to Alyssa.
Thank you so much, Emily. That was super helpful and really helped illustrate what all ducks need to be in a row in order to get certified. So with our remaining time, we would like to jump into audience Q&A. So I'll invite all the speakers back onto the screen, but feel free to keep putting those questions in as they come up to you guys. To jump right in, I wanted to start out with a question for everybody. So how will demand for workplace charging evolve over time as more and more charging occurs at home? Is there a significant risk of stranded asset at work with low utilization? And what do the projected trends tell us about this issue?
Alyssa, I can jump in on that one. So we've always held true that 80% of charging happens at home and at work. There are a lot of employees who will have chargers at home, but if they do have a longer workday and they can take advantage of at-work charging, they're definitely going to do so. And there's a large number of employees that don't necessarily have at-home charging. There are still many people that live in multi-unit dwellings. Those units are still going in, but those will be at higher demand for a larger number of people. So if you do have workplace charging, those are going to be huge assets for those that don't necessarily have a garage to park their EV in. It's also a benefit for customers that may show up to those locations as well. We know not all workplaces are necessarily customer facing, but those that are, those customers can use those. Any partners that do show up to the building can use those chargers as well. And like we said, EVs and EV charging are only going to increase over time. We think it's best to get in early on the ground floor, ask these questions early, ask these questions often, and try to figure out the best way to get charging implemented sooner rather than later.
And I would add that the risk of potentially these assets being stranded is pretty low, especially once folks tend to expect workplace charging to be an option at whatever job they're looking for. And you would see maybe folks don't have access at home, like Torrin was talking about, or they only have access to level 1 charging at home, and they don't want to pay to do that whole upgrade in their garage. And so they're just going to rely on the option to charge at work even more heavily.
One thing I want to add to that is something that's a grid benefit to workplace charging is as more places throughout the country deploy solar, your midday solar generation is at its peak, and often that solar is underutilized. So if there's more folks charging at work during the peak midday hours where there's excess solar generation on the grid, vehicles are essentially charging from solar power as they plug in and charge at the workplace. So there's actually that dual benefit there.
Great, that was an awesome highlight. Moving into an EVAL specific question, we had a question come in for what types of vehicles does EVAL include?
So EVAL includes certifications on a lot of vehicles, but it does tend to highlight light duty vehicles. It is for workplace charging, so we're expecting a lot of workers to be driving to and from work, to and from home in light duty cars, possibly light duty pickup trucks. Not necessarily seeing a ton of use of medium heavy duty vehicles to and from work. However, if there are chargers that are public facing at the workplace that can be used by medium heavy duty vehicles at your workplace, I don't see any barriers in the way of those chargers being certified as well.
Yeah, great point. A follow-up question that I believe was touched on, but let's just highlight again for emphasis. For EVAL, is the certification free of charge?
It is. That was covered just a little earlier, but for now it is free of charge. There is no gimmick, there is no catch. It is complimentary to attend, be a part of, participate in, and later on in 2024, that charge point may be figured out and discussed a little bit further. But for right now, it is free of charge to participate.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that information. This question's a bit for anybody who feels like taking a stab at it. But we have, do you have any advice for workplaces interested in charge at work but are currently leasing their office buildings?
I'll leave that one for Brandon or Olivia.
I'm happy to jump in and start with that. I'd say we typically want to start with the property owner. So even if you are leasing it and are interested, ideally there is going to be a contact at the workplace that would have a relationship with the property owner. So most property owners, when you explain the benefit, and that's a value we can add. So if there is that workplace who is interested, you're on a long-term lease or your lease is running up and you want to extend it, but you'd really like to deploy charging infrastructure, we're more than happy to join in. That's part of the technical assistance I think we can provide, and explaining that value benefit to the property owner, who sometimes property owners are interested, they're excited, they may not be, but we can help explain some of the value add there and also walk through the process. So answer any questions if the property owner wants to know some details.
Great. That's a great first start. It's definitely a tricky situation. So I appreciate you taking a stab at that one. Moving into an eval specific question, we had a question for, can chargers already on site get eval certified?
Absolutely. If you already have chargers in the ground, you are on a fast track to getting that certification. And so that would be great. We do not discriminate on if the charger is already there or if it is forthcoming. So yes, that is fantastic. You're ahead of the curve. We'd love to see it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Emily. A question for the group at large too was, how would you recommend pitching joining one of these programs to your boss if you want workplace charging but are not necessarily the final decision maker for your company?
That's a great question. And that's the tough part, is trying to define the decision maker. There are a lot of implementation processes. There's a lot of teams and point people that are going to have to be contacted and brought into this discussion in order to make it happen. So we just recommend starting the conversation. If you are a little bit lower on the pyramid, talk to your direct report, make sure your direct report talks to theirs and gets the conversation going. We assume those conversations definitely need to include facilities management, building management, upper management of the workplace, possibly fleet managers if those are at your location. But again, start that conversation, let them know about the programming that's available free of charge, and hopefully we can help out your workplace sooner rather than later.
That is also part of the eval certification. They'll ask if you've done this, is making sure you understand other employees' needs. And so if you just got your new Nissan Leaf and you are ready to charge at work, you might start figuring out of your coworkers who also would want to charge at work. What do those numbers really look like? And take a poll, take a survey, and come to your facilities manager, whoever it is you're talking to, with this information to back it up, along with all of the resources that our Charge at Work programming or CalSTARS Charge at Work programming and EVAL's programming offer. And that Charge at Work, like they were saying, can really help you plan out what it will look like at your workplace. And so by highlighting the process flow that exists to then get those charges in the ground and then ultimately get that certification, I think that that can be really beneficial as well.
Great, thanks so much, Emily. And Brandon, if you guys want to weigh in from your program.
Yeah, so what's exciting about both Charge at Work and the EVAL program is they're funded by the Department of Energy. So we actually work very well together. They're complementary. So whether you're a workplace that has already done a great job being a leader and you want to get that recognition, that is something that the certifications do. They can help certify, which can be used for future, future programs that employers or workplaces might be applying to. It makes you stand out. So if you've already done some of that, you can get certified for what you've done. If you're expanding on that, or if you're now interested and you haven't done in the past, they work together very well for multifaceted approaches. Now, if you're a workplace or say that employee who has EVs and you're starting to garner internal support, you can be that internal champion, go through the project builder at Charge at Work. We can come to the table and be another resource there to speak to either employees that are interested and discuss how to have conversations with higher ups that make decisions and facilitate that process. So that's another benefit there. But as you're going through the journey with your workplace, you can also be going through the journey with EVAL. So you can look at the certification you'd want to be tied to on the EVAL platform, deploy your infrastructure with the Charge at Work project builder, and then at the end of that, have a good, successful Charge at Work deployment and get an EVAL certification.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. That was super helpful to also picture how the programs work together. We got a follow-up question about speaking with upper management about the programs. We have a question. Do you have any materials we can share for upper management about the EVAL program?
Yes, we do. And we have several one-pagers, FAQs, that sort of collateral that we can send out in the follow-up after this webinar. And again, as soon as that website's live, we will be pushing that out, and that will have all the information you will need to take to upper management. But yeah, in the meantime, we do have those one-pagers, FAQs, and you can always reach out to myself and Torin for any more specific questions.
Great, thank you so much. I want to come back to the question that Brandon kind of went ahead and covered for us, just to give the EVAL side also an opportunity to plug how the programs can work together and collaborate, just so the users can be aware.
Yeah, they're great complementary programs. Obviously, there's a lot of resources on the Charge at Work side and the certification and resources available on EVAL as well. Kind of go hand in hand. Definitely encourage all to check out both.
Yeah, and kind of like, I mean, Brandon's laid it out beautifully, but you can use that Charge at Work project builder to get you to the point where you can then apply for that EVAL certification to show how far you've come and all this incredible work you've done because of the resources that Charge at Work has provided, and then the step-by-step process through certification that EVAL provides.
Great, thank you all so much. I believe that is all of our questions that we had come in for right now, but again, our speakers have gone and shared their contact information and ways to get a hold of them. So if you have anything still lingering, feel free to reach out to them. I'd like to take this time to thank all of our speakers for their time and their resources and sharing that information with us. So thank you all so much. And before I let everybody go, as I alluded to before, this is a part of our Charging Infrastructure Week. So I wanted to go through kind of the plan for the rest of the week. It'll also all be shared out via a newsletter coming out on Wednesday, but just to kind of tease some of the exciting things that are coming for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, the EC will release our toolkit library, which is a one-stop shop resources page, providing user information and potential funding application assistance using the EC and federal tools like the Drive tool, the Achieve Model Policy Toolkit, and the A-Fleet GHG Estimator. On Wednesday, we will be releasing the battery technology blog post. This is a new endeavor for the EC as we provide a high-level overview of current battery technology being explored and what these promising technologies can mean for battery storage, expanded range, and resource diversification. Thursday, we will host our State of the EVSE Market and Projections webinar featuring speakers from the Joint Office, Electrify America, and Bloomberg New Energy Finance to be discussing the year in funding and policy, as well as market trends and projections that stand to shape the upcoming year in EV charging. And then lastly, to wrap it up on Friday, we'll be taking it to social media to share a multitude of resources for federal funding applications, fleet electrification, and installment of infrastructure. So be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter/X if you do not already. And we appreciate you joining us for today and having those awesome questions for our speakers. So we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.